energy
Well,
to make
let's see if we can
people.
address that with Shonali Routray, who is from Witness Confident. There is a lack of confidence, Shonali, in the court system if you are a witness.
Yes, and that's precisely why we started our campaign with Witness Confident. In the UK alone, there's 1.2 million incidents of street violence, according to the British Crime Survey. And we, in order to tackle that, we have to look at ways in which we can engage citizens. The number of street violence crimes has virtually been the same since '97, despite policing resources increasing. So without we as citizens working out ways in which we can engage better with the justice system and the police system responding to us better, we're not really going to make a dent into this quite serious issue. I think Jenny's point that there are ways in which we engage, and this debate shouldn't be polarised between walking on by and being a have-a-go hero, is really important, because we can take pictures with our camera phones, we can call for police, we can tend to the victim, and it's really important that we start to think about how we can actively engage and be more confident in what we do.
Paul Catlow, you repeatedly called the police, didn't you, about harassment and violence that was going on in your neighbourhood. You were the one who ended up facing court. What happened?
I did. Basically, it was back in 2005. Myself and a local shopkeeper carried out a citizen's arrest on a local youth who was part of a gang that had been terrorising the area for quite a while. Initially, the boy begged us, don't go to the police, I'll apologise to everyone involved. I'll take you to the ringleader's house who lived locally as well. We did that, everything was discussed, further apologies were made. One other member of the gang went away and phoned the police, gave them a completely different story, which they didn't believe. They came round, thanked us initially, everything was okay. Then the next day, I was arrested for child kidnap, amongst other things, assault. They completely changed their story. I went through a 15-month court ordeal, spent a week in prison, and then the trial collapsed, and the boys were basically proven to be liars. They admitted they were lying in court.
Paul, would it stop you ever intervening again?
It wouldn't stop me, no. No, I'd go about it a different way if it happened again. I would say to people, it's been shown in recent years that the police don't really have the public foremost in their minds. They're more target-driven. They're enforcing government policy. Go around the police, gather your own information, your own evidence, and go to your MP, and don't give them any excuses then. They've got no excuses. They have to change the policies.
Shonali, as you listen to Paul's story, what do you think?
Both Paul's and Donald's story are terrible. I mean, that's one of the things that we're campaigning for the judicial system and policing system to, first of all, address the kind of witness experience. Ways in which they can address it are firstly the police could start taking video statements. So then when you end up in court, it becomes less of a memory game. And the second point is that part of the legal aid fund perhaps going to victims and witnesses in serious crimes so that they are supported.
Can I just be, Shonali, I mean, it's interesting the point you say there. After the $1 million, because it's not just about witnessing crime, it's about the experience of going into court, right, and being abused by this club of barristers who drink and they know they've been in the same chambers as the judge, this cosy cartel. And when the DPP came out and the Minister of Justice came out and said, yes, I think, and the head of this, Surrey Constabulary, saying, we should do something about this. And I'm saying, you hypocrites, you telling me, anybody involved in the justice system for the last 20, 30 years knows that it is you're on a thankless task being a witness. You're talking on any crime because the presumption is that we can have a go and harass you. And the witness experience is absolutely appalling in courts. It's not just about me being involved in a crime or somebody more interventionist. Ordinary people, they're harassed and their witness experience is appalling.
What Donald says is right. I just remembered that we were living in Yorkshire. And one Sunday morning, I don't know, it was mental, it was a bloke knocking on our back door. My wife went to see what was going on, and then I heard her yelling. And this bloke was strange, I don't know. So my son and I went out, marched him down and put him over the gate and moved him on. I phoned the police and said there's and he was sitting there hurling abuse outside. I phoned the police and they said, it's a Sunday, we're very busy, no one around. I said, okay, well, if he comes back, we're going to beat so on and so forth. Within about 10 or 15 minutes, a rather portly policeman came staggering up the road saying, did you just threaten to beat somebody up, blah, 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 blah. I said, yeah, he's over there, and if he comes back into my house again, causing trouble, I will. And so the policeman went over and chatted, and we didn't think any more about it. 2 hours later, 2 coppers come to the house, knock on the door, ask if they can talk to my wife, my son and myself, and could we talk to you in separate rooms, and come in and treat us as if we are criminals. The upshot was I was not very happy, so they took me to the police station, where I proceeded to wind them up for being so... I don't actually feel that the police are doing a bad job generally, because, from time to time, like Donal, I've been involved in perhaps criticising people who think they're above the law, make threats against you. The police come around, special part of the police, sort out your protection or they do a dangerous job. I don't want us to sound as if we're really having a go at the police. Some of those guys on the front line do a very dangerous, a very good job.
I talk to police and they said to me, witnesses, my view is to say, now this is for ordinary members of the public, I will always intervene because it's my nature. To my wife would say, having lived through it, she'd never go to that court experience again. But many police officers up and down the country privately say, given the choice between walking on by and intervening and being innocent parties of crimes, watching and reporting, and doing your best as an ordinary punter, as an ordinary good citizen, they say, you know what, and
but as a human being, how do you do that? How do you see someone in absolute pain, distress, fear? Because the first thing that you think of when you look at them is, that could be my mother. That could be my child. How do you do that? You just
asked that of the 30 people who were in the pub who watched me and my wife getting beaten up. You ask.
I would like to ask that.
The question is, why has society brought it to such an extent that people don't intervene?
But we are society. That's the problem.
Well, there's a bystander.
The problem is that if you do... Listen, Jenny, I'm concerned that you might put yourself in danger the way you're talking. It's one thing to say that, and quite often women feel that they won't get attacked, but they will.
Yes, but
you've got to... How would your family feel if you got a knife stuck in you because you intervened?
We have one last guest I need to just get to. Tim joins us. Very good morning to you, Tim, from the surveillance group. You witness crimes or potential crimes as part of your work. Do you intervene?
Never. I only employ ex-military personnel who are leaving the armed forces and coming to work for me, and without shadow of a doubt, they are horrified by the acts of violence that they see on the streets of the UK. It's not major conurbations, it's towns, villages, etc. And the one thing that we've witnessed day in, day out is that we have become an intolerant nation, and the slightest bit of provocation will create a kind of pack mentality approach to situations like this, and I just wouldn't advocate anyone intervening.
Barney,
Tim,
thank you.
Okay.
So sorry to cut you off. We're just running short of time, and I want to just get to some of the viewers' emails and tweets that they have sent us. Barney from Whitby in North Yorkshire. I'm a have-a-go hero. I'd never do it again. When I intervened, I ended up arrested and was threatened in court. But DMH10 says, I was mugged in York about 15 years ago. It was on a busy street. Many people stood by and watched as I was beaten and mugged. And Paul says, as a former military officer and former police officer, I can't walk on by. It's in my nature to help. Jenny?
I just think as a decent human being and as a member of society, you've got to make an effort. I don't go in there with both hands, touch anyone, grab anyone. Get your phone, start shouting, because a lot of the times, cases that I've intervened in quite often are men abusing women. And so, sweetie, are you okay? You, stop that. You shout, and a lot of the times that makes people stop. You tell them you're calling for help. You say, I'm filming it, and quite often it makes them stop.
You can continue that debate on our website.